began first by LAPD and now picked up finally by CHP. 210 freeway, where we essentially picked it up. Speeds a lot faster earlier because there wasn't as much traffic, but now it's traffic is pretty heavy at this point. It could be, but CHP, obviously, to your point, Stu, will be a little bit that there is not just one person, but we're told multiple occupants who took part in a residential burglary. This Mercedes sedan.
And you wonder also if, as the traffic potentially gets worse, if that may lead to this driver trying to get off the freeway, if they feel like they're boxed in because there's so much traffic going on. News of having those lights and sirens behind is it is a bit of a heads up to the other drivers that are there that something is coming. You know, beware, be alert, not maybe get off of your phone because when the person was basically by themselves driving at 120 miles an hour, you know, they could have hit anybody without a lot of warning as well.
Definitely. And right now you're well below speeds right now, 51 miles an hour. I'm pretty sure that's pretty accurate. We haven't seen the zoom in and out. And then also the other thing is why is he staying on the 210? He's been on the 210 East pretty much as long as this has been on. And that kind of makes me believe that this person has a destination. Whoever's inside that vehicle, they aren't local robbing, doing a burglary wherever they did it. They probably drove from a location, and now they're going to try to make their way back to that location. Again, we're in this. We probably already passed Azusa. We're probably getting right about
Azusa
that 605. So there's that opportunity to dip south over here. But it looks like he is well established. Going to stay like this. We've seen him cut across all those lanes in a blink of an eye. But he's established in that carpool lane. Luckily, he doesn't have a lot of traffic in front of him. But high speeds, that C-Class Mercedes, that's probably, I would venture to say, probably an 07, maybe somewhere right in that area. Now, maybe a little newer than that. But still, it's an old. You're saying that there's more than one person inside that vehicle. It always makes me wonder why somebody doesn't have that voice of reason inside that car that's just saying, hey, why don't you just pull over? Or, you know, give me that opportunity. I'll get out. You do what you. It's always that ride or die mentality that we see. And it just weirds me out because, you know, if you get out of that car now, it's going to be a lot different of a crime than if you stay with it. And if somebody gets hurt, you know, you just don't want to see that. I wouldn't want to even be part of it. So at any rate, right now, that car's still moving along. We're watching these speeds. It is just amazing to me how there isn't anything. I call it pursuit traffic. There's nothing slowing this car down right now as far as traffic or anything in its way. This afternoon, the suspects, they're going to go into custody just hopefully without any injuries to anybody involved.
Although they do get away sometimes. I mean, we report on that too. That's part of the reason that they run. Every once in a while, they go into a parking garage and, you know, get away or go into a neighborhood and they don't catch them.
Yeah, no, I always wonder though. I think in the end they get caught. Maybe not that day, maybe not that minute, but I would venture to say eventually they do get caught. Here we go now. The speed's really starting to pick up again. You can see how this vehicle's passing all these other cars on the roadway there. And you know, I wish we could see a little bit more where that California patrol is. I'm also wondering if they are possibly doing something where they are, you know, calling ahead their unit. Not that they would put out spike strips, but maybe just another car. Maybe they could slow a little bit of the traffic. There's other little things that they can do, but they will never put anybody in harm's way, including that. That's something that, you know, everybody needs to know, especially with all law enforcement out here in California. But right now, this band's still moving along. Good clip of speed right there. We're already in the East San Gabriel, Sunflower. We're coming, I would believe, and that 210 seems to be that freeway of choice. So this vehicle has a destination. I just wonder if he's going to be able to get there and what's going to happen.
Well, we don't know who the driver of this vehicle is, if that person is a man or a woman. We do not know how many other passengers are in this vehicle. We do have reports that there are multiple passengers in that vehicle. You see the tinting is pretty strong. Pretty illegal, actually, based off of California standards on that front and back window, which makes it really hard for us to get a good look inside of that vehicle as it continues to drive. And what would usually be rush hour traffic in Southern California, although has not hit too bad a traffic. And as we say that, maybe things will slow down here in the San Gabriel Valley as we an empire.
Hey, Stu, you mentioned
Yes.
you mentioned in terms of strategizing to bring this to an end and the aggressive tactics of CHP. Of course, we think about the pit maneuver. We can't do that because speeds are too high. There's too many cars around. We get that. But spike strips, you said that they wouldn't do spike strips. Why not?
Well, they wouldn't do spike strips on the freeway right now because how are they going to get? How are they? First, they'd put their officer into some sort of very dangerous situation where somebody's going to have to toss that out onto a freeway with other vehicles on there. Then the other vehicles might strike those spike strips as well. So we're not going to see spike strips on the freeway, especially not when we see traffic like this, and also with those higher speeds. We have seen them in the past. I'm never going to speed. You never say never. Whoever's doing the camera right now, definitely pushing in right there. You can clearly make out that there's somebody in that passenger seat. At least two people inside that vehicle. It makes you wonder if there's going to be others in that back seat as well. But as far as the spike strips go, they might be able to do something like that if there was where he would get off the freeway. But again, it would be so many variables that would just fall together. They need to have time to prepare. They need to be ahead of that game. They can't be behind the curve. They have to be ahead of it. As long as they're on that freeway like this and moving at speeds, well, now we're at 37 miles an hour. And, you could venture to say, if it's moving slow enough like this, and maybe there is like an opportunity where there aren't that many cars around it, they might do the pit maneuver. But right now, it is public safety, and that's going to be their big call, especially for California Highway Patrol. And they are going to do, like Alex said, lights and sirens, warn that public, let the people know what's going on. Hopefully they'll do the correct thing, which a lot of times they don't, is just get out of the way. But right now, this car slowing down makes you think there's got to be a lot more traffic ahead of it. An opportunity for California to do something to bring this to an end.
Yeah, I mean, if they do a pit maneuver here, ramming this person into traffic, damaging somebody else who's just an innocent passerby. I mean, the advantage, of course, we all think in terms of, TV timelines, and we'd like this story to wrap up nicely, but, see, they don't have to go to extra at 7. They can do, they got, unlimited people and budgets, and they can bring in reinforcements, and ultimately they can wait this person out, and they can have them go through their entire tank of gas till the car stops, if necessary, and process, hopefully preventing somebody from getting hit or somebody from getting killed. But based on the speeds that this person was driving when we first joined this 15-20 minutes ago, that is a very real danger, because this person has shown not any respect for the speeds, just like apparently not any respect for property based off of the accusations, and really being willing to drive wildly and put people in danger in the process.
But Stu, you bring up a good point about the fact that they've stuck on the 210 freeway this entire time, and we've been on this for probably about 20 minutes thus far. So the 210 freeway all along, and your point is they probably have a destination in mind.
It could be, definitely could be. They've had plenty of opportunities at 710. He had the 605. Clearly, every off ramp that he has passed, but continuing eastbound on that 210, taking to the Inland Empire, and California Highway Patrol. You've said it. You're true. They can just wait this out. They can just stay behind this car for as long as they need to. Now it's getting really dangerous again. Whenever I see them, the suspect, do something like this, I always think to myself, there's so much debris. If I would pull over just for whatever reason, I'd have a flat tire. And I always wonder, how do these guys drive in that type of situation and just not pick up a nail or something to basically bring that, to create a flat tire. Right now, he's not in the car. He's in not the carpool lane. He's actually in that emergency lane. Those speeds really starting to pick up again. California Highway Patrol, I'm pretty sure they're going to stay with it, but how they're going to do that, they have to do it safely. A lot of people are going to have to move out of their way. This car continues to move along, like you said, at a very good clip. We saw a passenger, and we know there's the driver, so it makes you wonder if there's somebody in that back seat as well. Right now, though, the plan is probably to be trying to stay with it. They might be making radio calls, getting something ahead, and basically the only thing they can do is maybe just hand it off to another division as they leave the areas that they are patrolling. California Highway Patrol, they have areas that they patrol just like the LAPD does. And even in a situation, they might have a little leeway to just kind of go through, but eventually they're going to get out of their area, and some other California Highway Patrol is going to have to get in line to take it over. And every division, every area has a little bit of a different take on how they're going to handle things. We saw some stuff out in Ventura just recently that they're out there. They are very aggressive. As soon as the car got, they brought that thing to a stop, hook, line, and sinker. But out here, they might be a little bit different. And again, Alec, like you said, public safety, number one. They're not going to do anything to endanger that suspect or anybody around them. They're going to have to wait for that window to open, that minuscule opportunity, and they might take it. But right now, these suspects, they have free reign of it. And it's something else you brought up as well. Those guys in there, you were saying how they don't have respect and they don't care, and I agree with you 1,000%. But also, I would venture to say, not trained at driving at high speeds. California Highway Patrol, those ladies and gentlemen, are trained, and that it makes a huge difference, especially when it comes to public safety.
Although this driver is doing a pretty good job at maneuvering through all these lanes at a pretty high speed so far. It's been quite an advertisement for this person's driving skills for that vehicle, and also a reminder about the value of carpool lanes, because we've seen how quick this person's been able to drive in the carpool lanes, and maybe a reminder to take somebody along with you for your rush hour drive, because it will make life a little bit easier. Now, they're not even going in the carpool lane as they drive in that emergency lane. You also wonder, as Stu mentioned, about debris, which is sometimes in that emergency lane, and how that could potentially impact all. Really moving now over 80 miles an hour on the freeway and taking off. And you wonder, as we now head towards Claremont and head towards Upland, person originally from the Inland Empire, is there a neighborhood that they are heading to in, say, Fontana or somewhere else? Or is it sort of random of why they're heading back there? We wonder about their experience. We think that this all started with a burglary. Have they been involved with burglary gangs, which is something we've been reported on often here on Fox 11? Different incidents in Los Angeles in the last week where, there was retail theft that clearly looked organized. A group that go out and do that sort of thing. And in this case, maybe they were caught.
Area, Stu, 210 eastbound, that, officers down there. Is there an airship? We can assume that there's an airship.
Well, you kind of wonder. California Highway Patrol, they definitely have a helicopter. They've got a very nice A-Star. Have we seen it much lately? I'm not really sure what's going on with them right there, budget issues or what it is, but their helicopter seems to be a little bit behind the curve when it comes to getting over pursuits lately. But this has been going on for a good amount of time, and this is one of those times where I wish I was going to be there. I would just push a button, and I would know who's talking to who right away. But I would venture to say that there is going to be at least a helicopter over it, and many times it actually might be it might actually be LAPD, especially since it started in the LAPD area, like you said, Newton Division. And Alex brought up an excellent point as well. They seem to be wanting to crack down on a lot of these brazen robberies, especially those smash and grab things. Now, burglary, I don't know if that falls under the smash and grab. It might, but they have going to crack down on it, and that might be one of those reasons why that one officer was staying behind it for so long by themselves. This was definitely a suspect that they wanted to talk to. This stuff, what we're seeing right here, makes my blood run cold. This is very, very scary stuff indeed. Just the difference. You've got those cars in traffic, that vehicle moving 80 something plus miles. plus miles an hour. This is where I always get really worried. If somebody makes a turn, tries to get out of the way, cuts this guy off very badly. But right now, still staying in that emergency lane. I'm sure California Highway Patrol, they got their lights and sirens on. Hopefully that's enough to get everybody's attention and to stay safe. But this pursuit continuing, those speeds up to 90 again. So, this suspect definitely not too worried about those officers behind them, and just trying to get as much space between him and right now, those speeds, that could be the most dangerous thing, right? And that could possibly happen is that somebody tries to get out of the way and makes that mistake and cuts this car.
So we continue to move now in the Inland Empire in Ontario on the 210 East. I actually was driving on this earlier today when I drove out to San Bernardino for a story. And, this person hitting some traffic, now driving in the emergency lane. We don't know that much about whoever this person is, as our pal Dennis Zine, who often joins us during pursuits, former LAPD officer, former LA City Council member, would say if he was joining us right now. It's a safe assumption that this is not his first interaction with law enforcement. Based off the way that this person is fleeing, you wonder if they have some sort of criminal past. Off of that, you wonder also if that's part of the reason that LAPD was so insistent on staying with this vehicle and not going into tracking mode. You wonder if there's more to this story. That often there is more to this story. Somebody may have a long criminal rap sheet, and that may be part of the reason that they're aggressively trying to pursue that car. But let's see, as we're moving lanes now, are we going to potentially get off the freeway?
To your point, Stu,
this could move over to the right.
Yep, moving on over. There could be, an exit here for them that they've been waiting for all along. CHP getting a little bit closer here. So this is the 2, and we're coming up on Carnelian Street in the Ontario area. And we can see more than one of the CHP officers there honing in.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, sort of strategizing. And, it's always a little bit of relief when those speeds back down.
Oh, there's a spike strip.
Oh, there is a spike strip.
Yeah, we're on the freeway. Yes.
Yes. So I had just asked why they wouldn't do that, and yes, I'm glad that.
Yeah, they're trying, and California Highway Patrol, they want to bring this thing to an end. Now that I just kind of thought maybe you guys already talked about it, but we have the time clearly. Is if this isn't a stolen vehicle, they have. And that vehicle belongs to somebody. That's a lead. That's a start. But they are not letting this thing go. And so that, again, is like Alec was talking about, is maybe there is something more going on here that we don't know about as the public. And in many a case, that is what the deal is. But they still know where that car comes from. And they have an idea who's behind the wheel. Do they need to catch them red-handed? I'm sure it makes things a lot easier. But, again, these are one of those things. Like Alex said, we've seen them get away. Well, occasionally they do, but a lot of times we just don't have the resources to follow up. They will find these people and they will arrest them. And again, this one right here, we haven't heard the word stolen vehicle. So they clearly has a registration. They know that car belongs to fill in the blank. Maybe they know that this person is in the IE or in Redlands, and that's where we're going right now. But California Highway Patrol, they're not going to, I believe that they're not going to let this go, even after that attempt right there. And it kind of makes me wish we had a little bit of a wider shot right now, because I'm seeing some cars, but for a few moments there, I saw very few. I wonder if they ran some sort of traffic break to try to make that situation happen.
Well, they could do it again.
It's pretty unusual to see a spike strip deployed on the freeway. It does happen, but it doesn't happen all that often. And that also, you see one of those cruisers that are ahead of this guy, which may lead to what you're saying in terms of trying to slow down some of this traffic or give people warning. But the fact that they actually tried to do that also gives you a sense that they're pretty eager to try to make this thing end. but yet it still continues. It doesn't appear. Do we know if this person ran over the spike strip or not? It
Didn't
doesn't look like it.
Too far away. Too far away. Yeah, the spike strip was thrown out basically on the shoulder in the carpool lane, and obviously they had a head start, if you will. The driver clearly saw that was being set up. So while we thought that they maybe were trying to get off the freeway, no, they're just trying to avoid the officer who the astute driver, if you will, saw coming up. So here we are, still on the 210 freeway in Ontario, and the spike strips just deployed. It wasn't successful. Stu, it wouldn't surprise me though if they're planning ahead in several miles to do it again. Why not?
They give it a shot. And they just have to have that moment where everything falls together. That's where the things become very complicated, because how do you get spontaneous and have that same moment happen at the same time?
Hey, Sarah, sweetie.
It's just very, very difficult. And this vehicle just keeps moving along.
Let's see if I can mark him on him.
Compare this to internet dating, Stu.
What just happened? Who broke Stu's heart? I want to know more about that story. There's something there. What bad experience?
What depends on there? You should be a man now, sweetie.
With this?
It's just you have to have all these ducks in a row to make it really just happen at the right time. And California Highway Patrol, this is so difficult. Like, people ask me all the time, is like, why don't they just do this? Why don't they just do that? If it was that simple, believe me, they. And this car just continues. I mean, this is like
I was bored, so I figured I
you're
just
going 100
streamed
miles
it.
an hour. You're in the emergency. California Highway Patrol behind you, a couple of vehicles. You got an SUV and one of those Chargers, and it's just, it is just one of these things where you want to. And I'm starting to get a little frustrated. It's like something happened.
I'm doing all right, hon. How about you?
Flat tire, get off the freeway, but this vehicle just continues on up into the triple digits. That little Mercedes is going right there, that little C-Class, and just kind of pushing it along. When they get on those high speeds like that, even a sports car, if he makes a sharp turn or hits that wheel too hard, this thing could just go sideways in a bad way. And California Highway Patrol, they don't want to see that. They want to bring this thing to an end safely. And here we go, right back into that emergency.
I am almost
lane,
to 500
subscribers.
subscribers.
Once again, this is just so dangerous. And like I said, when he cars like they're standing still, I just get really
work tomorrow.
Well, for our viewers who may have just jumped on with us, what you're looking at
I know,
is a high-speed pursuit that's been on the 210 freeway for a minutes so far, if not longer. Inside is a burglary suspect behind the wheel, a residential burglary suspect.
And there's no storms around, so I figured I'd just bring there for a little bit.
Suspects. This was first picked up by LAPD in the Newton Division, and then it was taken over by CHP as they made their way onto freeways here, particularly the one and only 210 eastbound. Now we're in the Fontana area. We picked this up in Sierra Madre, so we've covered quite a distance, Alex, and we've seen the speeds go up to 100 miles per hour.
I'm not monetized yet, if that's what you're asking.
Miles an hour just based on traffic. And we've seen a lot of this too, driving on the shoulder and weaving in and out dangerously of these unsuspected drivers.
I'm Alex Michelson with Marla Tejas, and Stu Mundell is with us as well, who we've just learned about his internet dating history, which we want to know more about. Just now focused on his profile this entire time. But let's talk about the real story here, which of course is this pursuit, which is serious business, because this can be dangerous to folks there that are driving right now, just trying to go home, likely after trying to get back with their families, and now they have this person driving wildly, and it could be a danger
3,000 watch hours and then 4,000 watch hours. So
talk about the challenge for CHP in keeping up with a driver like this on the shoulder, and trying to keep up with them while at the same time not making a maneuver where they end up ramming into driver, while themselves driving 90 plus miles an hour.
You know, Alec, those drivers with any of the law enforcement that are out there in those cars, they are trained professionals, and they also have a lot going on inside those vehicles. They will split up that load.
I know I will be. I'm not that far off.
Do the
Got
chase,
like
and then
what,
the car that's
75.
do what they say, make the
My
call
new
out.
achievement was
Save the lane,
75,000
save the off-ramp,
views. So
and give those
I'm
type
not
of
that
calls.
far
Let
off.
that first car be the one kind of concentrating on keeping an eye on that vehicle, keeping the public
So I'm
safe,
trying to
and
think
make
what I
those
want to
smart
do for
moves.
my
And when I say smart
membership.
moves, I mean be able to stay behind that being reckless, but now the law enforcement has to be safe and keep that public safe as well. That's one of the reasons why we like to see more than one cop car behind any one of these fleeing suspects. Because you know then that
out there and
what's
do
going
some
on.
new
A lot of
content.
times the airship, the helicopter, will make those calls for the officers on the ground, and we'll actually
weather has
talk
it.
about
Weather's
that.
just
You know,
been.
say we'll make the calls. We'll keep everybody advised. And also
Storm season's been really weird lately.
Law enforcement agencies know what's going on. If he decides to get off the freeway right now in Rialto, I would be sure that Rialto PD would be.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
This is happening. There might actually even be some officers nearby one of those off ramps. This car just touching that triple digit constantly out here in that emergency lane. I just hear the conversation that's going on inside that car right now. But you know, the thing is all those other vehicles we're seeing, those are the ones that I worry about. Those are the ones that law enforcement worries about. It seems like the only people that aren't worrying about anybody are these people, the one person behind the wheel of that car right now. Paula.
Yeah, so speeds, we just saw them exceeding 100 miles per hour again, officially in San Bernardino County in Rialto. Now, 210 eastbound. The driver remains a burglary suspect behind the wheel of this dark-colored Mercedes, four-door black tinted windows. I guess that's repetitive. Tinted windows, illegally tinted, and you're seeing CHP. We saw probably about 10 minutes ago our first attempt to bring this to an end, and that was through the means of throwing out a spike strip in the carpool lane, but the suspect was able to evade the spike strip. No damage was done as far as we know, and it doesn't seem like it at all, given the speeds here, to any of those tires. Does look like low profile though too.
And do you have
to bring up. And then, you know, we bring this up, and I know it seems so sort of
so we can keep in
fruit,
touch.
Could be yeah. Look at that wide open freeway. You wonder if they stop traffic ahead.
Could be. We could be seeing another spike strip.
We might see something here, yeah.
There is the issue of gas. You know, we've been on the air with this for some time. If they only had a quarter of a tank, for instance, it's not going to last that much longer. Yes, I'm sure it gets pretty good gas mileage, but nonetheless, at some point, gas will become an issue if this thing goes on.
If you want, hon.
Which we've seen before.
Anyone else to have it. Understand.
Have lasted hours.
Definitely. We've been over a couple of them that have been lasting hours. You see another officer right there. That he was behind that wall. If I was running the camera, I would have sacrificed this shot just for a second. I can almost guarantee you, if that vehicle would have stayed in the emergency lane, just the person getting off the freeway, something different happening here. You know, window, so I'm just going by what they're saying right there. So it looks like we're going to be getting onto the 215. So we're staying on the freeways. I believe we're going to stay on the freeways, but at least we're getting off that. But doing on that transition road, this car kind of speeding up again. You know, something that's interesting is, you know, and I hate giving the suspect props in ways. It seems like not push that vehicle to the limiter. You know, that car will basically probably has a limiter of about 120 miles an hour, maybe 112. But we haven't seen that. We've always seen them like just at the hour mark and then drop back down. So that driver might have a little bit better control of that car than I'm even giving that person credit for. But at this point right now, it looks like we're still going about 90 miles an hour, where it's showing, we are on the 215. That's what I thought. So we're basically got onto the 215. Looks like we're heading southbound.
Get your email so that you know it's me.
Continues to elude officers, continues to elude the California Highway Patrol. But again, even if this person has some sort of plan in mind, It is
I'm
taking
hoping
forever
to
to execute
get
it,
back
and I
into
feel
work.
the pain for the camera operator right now. Oh my God! But thank goodness that we're away from that sound ball. But you know, if he does get off the freeway in one of these areas, I'd be very curious to see if there is, quote unquote, I'm doing the air quotes, you can't see me, but is he going to get into a parking garage? Does he have a neighborhood that he's going
to? We're getting off.
We got off
the freeway.
Okay, here we go. And then we got our best look at that driver based off the camera angle we just. So now we're driving the wrong side on the road. Now we're turning around, getting on the other freeway on the other.
Yeah, it looks like
Are they going to pin him?
Now this might
be. Are they going to pin him?
This is the thing. This is so slow. He's moving so slow. It's like he's almost baiting them, right? Alec, it's like, come on.
It's a perfect situation right there.
It would have been the spot. It would have been that spot. Why they didn't do it, that's a tough one. I can't even say. But there we go again, back underneath some of these transition roads. Just keep that shot right there, and then the car will come to you. But again, those speeds seem to be a little
bit watching, please.
Maybe it was just
drive nice and calm.
Maybe he was going 60, 70 miles an hour, even on that on-ramp. But basically, it looks like he made a wrong turn, and now we're heading back northbound on the 215 after we made that little south thing, got off on baseline. And the pursuit is continuing to stay going. California Highway Patrol, I can guarantee, cutting off that big rig. Oh, that's painful. I feel bad for that officer. But I wish we got a little bit of a wider shot to see if we have.
Okay, now we might actually be on side streets for the first time.
Yeah, but is any of the California Highway Patrol behind him? That's the big question right now. I'm sure the helicopter, they're probably making some sort of calls, but is there law enforcement behind him, and will they be able to reestablish before this guy gets them?
Oh God, this is very dangerous.
Yeah, this is getting to be much.
Yes.
So we're now on Highland Avenue, Western Avenue. This is the Mount Vernon neighborhood. We're in San Bernardino County, and we're driving real fast. You wonder at this point also people that for an evening walk with their dog or just enjoying a nice night outside that could be on the streets in terms of many right here. But that is a concern at this time of night with somebody moving at those speeds on side streets.
Yeah, speeds about 70 miles per hour, West Highland Avenue. This is
not standard, man. They get some really crazy
through this intersection.
Car chases.
Looks to be sort of a residential area. So San Bernardino here, West Highland Avenue, and
my goodness,
not just pedestrians, but these unsuspecting drivers out trying to get home or run some errands.
Okay, look at them. Look at them. I'm going to try to pin him here. Here it comes. Here it comes. There we go. They're done with it.
That's just my Instagram going off.
California Highway Patrol being a little bit more aggressive than other agencies. Did that pit maneuver, spun him around that car, not disabled. This is going to be very tense
let's see who gets
that
out.
Door popping open, and the hands are up. That's the first good sign we've seen.
Come on, stop freezing.
I'm worried about other folks inside that car. The driver definitely getting out.
Yeah,
he knows
that,
what the protocol is.
Hit him, come on, there you go,
down on the ground, like that.
We got at least one passenger in the front that we saw, and we wonder about the back too. So we don't know if they're on.
Now they just pin them. Now they'll have the guns out.
Of getting them out too. Okay, so now he's being told to back up. Wow, this guy's really tough.
I'm sure he's following directions right now, and as Mr. Zine said,
and that's called a pit maneuver.
First rodeo. Knew what to do pretty much right out the box. The California Highway Patrol, and this is the thing too, that you got a K9 unit there. I'm wondering if that is actually part of it is part of Highway Patrol. These guys had their ducks in a row. That K9 unit is not just happened to be there. That actually went to that pursuit, and now they're going to try to get that passenger out. And again, now comes the big curiosity. Who else is in that car? What's in that trunk? But right now, I can tell the big portion of tension is over. But again,
we don't know what
we know. That there's somebody in that
car, and we don't know if there aren't.
Well, we were told that there was multiple occupants, so we'll see how many people are inside. HP officers, guns drawn, while the driver is now officially cuffed there on the bottom right of your screen. This is North State Street and Adams Street in San Bernardino as that driver is being hauled off.
I do, but
all eyes,
I
all
don't
attention
have
on that Mercedes sedan. You can see us, the
a bank
passenger seems to
account
have
hooked up to it.
his
I don't
hands
have
up
any money on
or
it, so
her hands up. There's
I
a
don't
tank
know
top that
how
I can
to
see clearly.
back
You get
out.
a good look at the license plate there as well. Inside. Are they armed? Are they going to just surrender easily in this situation? They're being told to exit the vehicle, right?
Well, they're being told to exit the vehicle. A lot of plans on how they do it. Sometimes they'll say, put the window down, put your hands outside, use the outside door. Or they might actually tell this person to climb across.
Okay, here comes somebody from the back.
See somebody coming out the back, and they're probably specifically telling them because they want to make it as awkward and as uneasy for these people to get out of that vehicle.
They don't know how to use
officers. There you go. Very graceful there, out on the ground, rolling around, but hands are up, and that's what to see. That's what I want to see as well. We never want to see a shooting happen ever.
You see the canine.
Right now,
I mean, can you imagine the adrenaline that must be pumping through this person's body to see that many guns pointed at them, to have canine there as well? I mean, what and now to back up into this, we know. So that person was in the back. We don't know if there's somebody else in the back. We know there's at least one person in the front that had. And now they're actually making an approach because we did see somebody in that front seat.
We still do.
There was somebody in that front passenger.
They may, you wonder if they're telling them to stay and to come at a time because it's easier for them to take care of it, which may be why they haven't come out yet. But they're clearly shouting commands.
Come on.
You want to show your hands at this point. I mean, this is still
and
a
that
tense
canine
moment.
very well behaved. You're not seeing that dog barking or anything. So that canine very well trained, but I'm sure he probably wants to look at this as a game. Wants to have put me in, coach. Hopefully they won't have to. Right now, you see that front passenger now doing.
Looks
across
like a female.
You know what? Marla called it. Female. Marla called it. She called it from go. And you see her getting out of the car as well, hands out, a little bit more gracious than the other two, but definitely. Now, is this the last one?
We don't know.
Only that back seat? That's the big question.
It's Colorado
It is now after
2013.
7 o'clock. If you're tuning in for Extra with Billy Bush, we're obviously covering the end of a pursuit which just ended
It won't
minutes
not
ago
retype it for
in
some
the Inland
reason.
Empire that was at very high speeds. Thankfully, we did not see anybody getting hit.
It's just showing that
Quite
and
something
not
considering how intense the driving was here. They found where they could do a pit maneuver and ended this thing with a pit maneuver on a side street that was almost exclusively on the freeway. Once the car finally got off of the freeway on the side street, law enforcement was pretty fast and pretty aggressive
still
in
here,
doing
Pickles,
that pit maneuver.
Sarah.
So they're moving forward. And now we're going to see if there's anybody else in that vehicle.
They'll check the trunk.
I'm venturing to say they're letting that dog in there. But I am curious to see if we're going to stay with it that long to see, because they said burglary suspect. I wonder what type of burglary this was. If this was some sort of smash and grab. We're going to see a lot of merchandise in the back of that vehicle.
The dollar sign.
But anyway,
Colorado
so awesome to
2013.
see law enforcement, the plan come together. They
Tried to
did
type
that
in the
pit
chat, but it
maneuver,
won't let me.
brought this thing to an end. Nobody got hurt in the end. And you can see it right there. It's all it is all good right now. It was a long pursuit, but definitely over. And great job for all the law enforcement that were involved, and especially that one LAPD
Oh, no, it's not showing the.
finally handed it over to California Highway Patrol.
And now officially in custody as this thing comes to an end on a side street, North State Street, Adams Street in San Bernardino.
Oh, I
Been
must
on the
have
air
done
with this
something.
for the better part of the 6 o'clock hour. We have extended our time, and now we are well into Extra and Billy
I
Bush.
don't know
We're
what I
going to
did. Hit
leave
something
you
on my
now, but we'll
phone.
have a full wrap-up of what we've learned about the speed pursuit. We'll have that tonight at 10 o'clock.
Stu Mundell, thank you.
All right,
for
hon,
that.
that's
Now
fine.
to Extra and Talk.
Take your time, sweetie.
Sean Jr. just spoke to Barstool Sports.
I love my kid, 16. I love my kid. Now he's, 16 and a half years old, 37.
Okay, hang on, I'll figure this out. No new to this. Okay, put that out. I haven't been live in a while, so guess I'm not good at it. What the hell? Huh. How I did not. Alrighty, hon, just take your time, sweetie. I'm confused here. What the heck? Trying to play some music after. So, on the. Yeah, I've been live for 40 minutes and 51 seconds. And well, thanks for coming, Sarah. It was good to see you again, hon. Hoping to go live more when I can. How would I know if you chat at me? Come on. All right. Oh, screw you. Yeah, I miss you too, sweetheart. I don't get to see your pretty face around. Ugh. I only wanted to sell it. We'll go with it. And that happens. uh, the door. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Well, I think I'm gonna get off of here and relax and whatever. So thanks for coming, Sarah, honey. Hit me up on my email so we can keep in touch and whatnot. Okay, hon. Hope to see you around. Have a good time at work and be safe, hon. Okay. You too, hon.